Hello and welcome to your daily mobile gaming sizzle. And the sizzle we're talking about today is Kabam, the rise and the fall of Kabam, really. So Kabam has announced that it has been bought by Netmarble. Netmarble is the biggest Korean mobile games publisher. Actually, is a part of a big Korean kind of conglomerate, and actually floated on the Korean Stock Exchange this year. So Netmarble is kind of an up and coming company, definitely big in Southeast Asia, definitely big in Korea. Now looking to make an impact in the wider world, particularly North America and Europe. So the deal actually is a bit complicated, as these deals tend to be. There's not been a don't know the value of the deal. But Kabam has Netmarble has bought Kabam, but then it's only taking some of the assets from the company, and then the bits it doesn't want are going to be kind of spun out as a kind of continuing company, presumably called Kabam. I don't know. Those details have not been kind of made very clear at the moment. But basically, what Netmarble gets for its undisclosed amount of money, that will be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, is it gets the Kabam's hit game, which is a Marvel Contest of Champions. So Marvel Contest of Champions is a kind of beat 'em up in the Marvel genre. Been pretty successful over the last, I guess, three years it's been out. So it's done about $500 million of revenue, about 450 million, I think is the quoted figure, but cracking up. So that's pretty good. And Netmarble gets that. It gets the team behind it, and the team behind it is also working on a new game called Transformers Forged to Fight, and that's currently in soft launch, expected out summer next year. And that's basically in the same genre. It's a kind of a free-to-play mobile beat 'em up, kind of high graphical 3D kind of situation. And Transformers film coming out next year, so that should probably do pretty well. And there's a few other kind of bits and bobs that Netmarble picks up. It picks up some kind of support teams and some kind of marketing and user acquisition teams. So out of Kabam's about 600 staff, Netmarble's getting about 250 of them. Obviously, doing the math, that leaves us about 350. I'm not quite sure what they're up to. Kabam has a couple of different studios. The biggest one, the biggest one actually has is in China, in Beijing. So we don't quite know, one, what they're working on, or two, how that's going to pan out for them. The only other game we know that Kabam is working on is going to be one based on the Avatar game, so that will presumably be one of the assets that's kind of spun out. And the game you can actually see rolling in the corner there is one called Legacy of Zeus, which is a game that's been in soft launch pretty much for a lot of 2016. From Kabam, it's a kind of a middling game. It's a squad-based RPG based in kind of using the kind of Greek mythology legends. I'm not very keen on those type of games. I don't think they appeal particularly. The game's okay, but I don't know, if that one will ever see the light of day. Certainly based on this deal, I think probably the acquisition by Netmarble of the Marvel studio means that probably Kabam will kill everything off that's not currently live, and just work on new games. I think it has a couple of other games that are in development that hasn't announced yet. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is all about timing, really. Kabam was a free-to-play PC publisher with a couple of very big franchises, and did really well. Mobile came along, it kind of ported them to mobile. They weren't really kind of true mobile games. They were much more PC games made to work on a mobile screen, but they were pretty successful. I wouldn't say they were great. They were very menu driven. So Kingdoms of Camelot was the big one, and then they kind of reskinned it for The Hobbit, and the Hobbit films were coming out. Did pretty successful on those. The first kind of generation of true mobile games that it made, Fast and Furious, was a racer that did pretty well and was good, obviously again based on the films. And Kabam was really just kind of putting out press releases saying how it doubled its revenue and everything was going great. And it made some hard decisions. It kind of got rid of it sold off its PC legacy games. It sold off a lot of its mobile legacy games like The Hobbit and Kingdoms of Camelot, and really focused on kind of high-end graphics and games that would really do well in the top-grossing charts for mobile free-to-play games. Unfortunately, some of those kind of ideas didn't pay off. So it did a Star Wars game called Star Wars Uprising. That was a kind of a bit more traditional kind of RPG. Didn't really catch anyone's imagination, and obviously quite a lot of Star Wars games were released last year. And the one that really took off was Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes from EA, and that kind of sucked up all the Star Wars juice. So Kabam's actually killed Star Wars Uprising. It also did a Fast and Furious game this year. Didn't quite have the same level of success as the first one, and that maybe because there's CSR Racing 2 came out, and there's just the racing genre is not quite as exciting as it perhaps once was. So they also had a Marvel game in development. It was a squad game, and it killed that. It was in soft launch, and I don't think the numbers were very good on that. So it made some hard decisions. It also kind of made a lot of redundancies to reduce its headcount, and it just didn't quite pan out. So certainly, it shows you kind of the margin of error is very tough in the mobile free-to-play space at the moment. It's a maturing market. There's some very big franchises already in there. There's games that do $1 billion a year, Puzzle and Dragons, Candy Crush Saga, all the Supercell stuff, and it's kind of just hard to be a successful company, even if you have a game like Marvel Contest of Champions, which is doing, let's say, $500 million. Certainly doing $100 million a year, and that's just not enough for these big companies. Even at one point, Kabam was looking to IPO. That kind of didn't happen, partly because King's IPO kind of ballsed up and it floated, and then the shares never rose above their float level, and then obviously they got bought by Activision. So it could have been a different timing. Kabam could have been in a very different place, but this is what it is in the world of business, particularly when it took on a lot of investment from VCs. So hundreds of millions of dollars of investment from VCs, and at some point they just want to go, well, are we going to make $1 billion, or are we just going to, well, let's just sell out then? So I think definitely the winner of the deal is Netmarble. So they've paid, we don't know, but a certain sum of money. They've got tons of money anyway at the moment, and they've got a really good studio in the Vancouver studio, and a really good game in Marvel Contest of Champions, and maybe another really good game with the Transformers game. Although the previous Transformers game that's been won out this year hasn't done that well. Different sort of game, certainly. That was more a build and battler. So we'll see if the next year, if the Transformers license can actually do anything. And I guess the big unanswered question, which we won't know really until this time next year, is what the rump of Kabam, whatever they are called, whether anything can happen from them, or whether that's just basically like a dead man walking. We will find out, and come back tomorrow and find out what the daily gaming sizzle is then. Goodbye.